So we're looking at the health and safety unit again, and we're looking at learning outcome 4, which is be able to review health and safety practices, policies and procedures. And it just got one criteria on it, which is 4.1. So evaluate the effectiveness of health and safety practice, policies and procedures in the setting. And we'll just work through this in the PowerPoint. Make this a little bit bigger. And it's cooperating, which is good. So before we look into it, we just want to have a bit of an overview, a recap of why health and safety is important. So it helps you to minimize potential risks. It helps you to protect people from harm. It gives you success in your organization. It's the law. You know what procedures there, keeps you safe and healthy, and it helps you to recognize and identify any risks in your workplace. So 4.1 is evaluate the effectiveness of health and safety practice, policies and procedures in a setting. So before we even think about it, when we're evaluating the health and safety practices, it's quite important because it helps you to do the following points which I've put on here. Helps you to recognize potential risks and hazards, identify and rectify, so fix anything that is not meeting the standards, update your policies, procedures, train staff, get recommendations, and actually also put them into place as well. And then it'll also help you to carry out an audit. So what is a health and safety audit? So we talked about this a little bit before. It's just like a paper trail where you're, at the end of the year. So it's a process that helps you to be compliant with health and safety regulations. And the purpose of it is just to make sure that you're compliant and that you're following your process as well, and that your overall performance, everything is all recorded and you've got a paper trail of it. So auditing is also quite proactive. So for a manager that is good, as a proactive manager, will actually do this without even thinking about it. They'll constantly update their paperwork, make sure they've got everything recorded in a good manner. And it helps them to, review the effectiveness of their own systems as well. And this is just a bit of an image of what goes into an auditing. And then you can evaluate the health and safety activities in your own workplace. So when you're looking at health and safety risks, you've got to decide on what precautions there are. So you've gone out, you've decided to do an activity in or out of the centre. You found out what the hazards are. You're figuring out what to do with them. And then, you don't really have to try and remove every single risk, but you've just got to have some sort of reasonable practice in place. So if you know that there's an area where there's sharp stones or glass, just try and put it into the attention of the people with your clients that you're with, and then just say, right, that area there is a little bit iffy. Try not to go over there. Just make sure that you're giving the information. And then you've got to take a look at what you're already doing and see what control measures you can put in place. So you can ask a couple of questions. So can I get rid of the hazard altogether? And if I can, how can I control the risk so that the harm is unlikely? I remember going on a school trip with my students when I was working in year 3. And they were considerably young. They were about 7 or 8 years old. There were 30 students, 2 classes, so there were 60 kids altogether. And there were about 8 or 9 members of staff. So we had a ratio of, say, 7 to 8 children per grown up. And we were in an area where it was quite hilly and it was a lovely place to walk, but there was a lot of bodies of water. There was like a lake in the middle. So we made sure to inform those children at that time that this is an area you've got to walk over the bridge. Don't lean over it. Don't stand on the railing. So we couldn't really get rid of that risk altogether, but we could inform them and keep an eye on them. So there are ways you can control risk. So there are some practical steps that you can do to try and reduce hazards. So you've gone out, you've identified what the hazards are. You could try a less risky option. So if there's 2 paths, you're going on a walk, you've got 2 paths. One is quite a wooded area which doesn't have clear pathway. Another one is just bricked and easy to go on. You could choose the less risky option. You can prevent access to hazards. So you can make sure there's some sort of barriers up, or you've blocked something off and say, right, we can't go over here. Or you can even have a member of staff standing in front of an entryway and saying, right, no, none of you are going this way, go around that way. You can organize your work to reduce exposure to hazards, have protective equipment, make sure you've got welfare facilities, you've got first aid, you've got a bathroom that you can use, and then also involve and consult with your staff. Let them know what's going on, and then maybe get some ideas or some suggestions from them. Just give them an idea of what is happening. So a couple of examples could be if you're in an area where you know that you're doing a lot of driving, there's a blind corner, put a mirror onto it. You might have seen in some programs where they've got mirrors, or if you've been on some country roads, they've got some mirrors on at the edge of a cliff, or on at the edge of a corner on a lamppost. So it just helps you to see if another car is coming around that corner. Something a bit more practical for the centres that we can use. If you're doing physiotherapy or exercising, you can have like those gym mats that are quite nice and spongy on the floors. Other things you can do is have signs and notices in and around the building, just to give people information. Manual handling, how to handle food safety, make sure they wash their hands after using the bathroom. Involve your staff so they know exactly what's going on. And then if you're not doing these simple steps, it can cost you a lot of money, because if somebody has an accident and you're deemed at fault, you could get fined. And this is just a picture about what manual handling is that you might see in and around the workplace. Then again, document the process. Make sure that you make a documentation of it, record it. Make a note of the information you've got, the date, the time, where it happened, information about what you've actually seen and how you could possibly fix it. So if you see a leaky tap, it could be as simple as just getting hold of the maintenance staff and getting them to come and sort it out. So we've gone over 4.1. Do you have anything you'd like to add, Lee?
I was just buzzing off that picture then, because no one really lifts a box like that.
Oh, this one here, that's true.
Yeah. People just pick it up the way they want to pick it up.
Exactly. I've never
maybe laugh
either, but yeah.
Well, it's the correct way, because it does stop your. I've been in the gym and I've been doing deadlifts, and I've again trying to think I'm clever, trying to show off, and I've put weight on it and I've lifted it wrong and damaged my back. So you can damage your back if it's not done correctly. But just that pictures.
Stop this and keep it for yourself now.
What you were saying then? Evaluate really is to go over into it to make sure what's going right and what's going wrong. And I suppose in any work role, in any workplace, as a leader, and not just as a leader, but as an employee as well, that to work as a team, we need to work as a team to see what's going wrong and to see what's going right. Otherwise, there'd be no progression within the team and within the work or job role that you're doing. So I get what you're saying. It's health and safety is very important, very, very important, and there's too many accidents, there's too many deaths even, just because people, think they're clever and think they're smart, and they don't. Sometimes, you've got things put in place, and like I was saying the other day, you're not going to get a mop and mop the floor in a figure of 8. You know what I mean? Exactly. If you give someone a mop, they'll mop it from side to side. It's just, I don't know. Everyone I've seen mop just anyway, and I do it. But if that was going to endanger lives by doing it from side to side, then unfortunately you're going to have to do it in the figure of 8. You know what I mean? So it's common sense. It's common sense. Health and safety. I got my certificate through yesterday when that guy come in. Yeah, so I'm buzzing about that. I've got like a little thing that I can put in a wallet to say that I've done it. I'm looking forward to this unit.
It's a
Yeah,
good one, isn't it? It's nice because and then you've already got that knowledge there as well from your that extra course you've done. So you'll be able to you'll probably have a lot more information about particular things that happen in health and safety anyway.
I mean, to be honest, I probably won't work in health and safety, health and social care.
Mm-hmm.
I probably won't. This is probably just something I'm going to get and throw on top of my wardrobe.
Yeah.
But I don't know, in the future, maybe, in the future.
Do you know what? It's got transferable skills within it, even if you don't end up working in health and safety. You've got that management side which can apply to other things as well. So, because it's not just health and safety, you've got the health and social care management. So that's what brings it a little bit above. So to be honest, it probably won't be a waste of time. You probably will be able to use it in some aspect or the other.
See, I've heard you speak over the last 2 months, and you mentioned school a lot. You mentioned children. So the way you come across, you love children. You love to work in schools. You love to interact with.
I love working with children, adults, anyone in general. I'm not ageist. I just love teaching. I've just got a very big experience with primary schools and high schools and things. So overall, we've looked at how to evaluate the effectiveness of health and safety. We looked at auditing, we've got health and safety activities, and how to record data. So that's for learning outcome 4.